Taking your calls at 1-800-636-1067. The Washington Commanders last year, I think we could all agree, after taking some time to sober up, so to speak, from the emotional high that was the season last year, I think we could all agree that they probably outkicked their coverage a year ago. They definitely exceeded expectation, and I think they deserve credit for that. From the top down, ownership, front office, head coach, the locker room, everybody was on the same accord. And it led to them making the NFC Championship game for the first time since the 90s. Coming off of that success, coming off of that level of prosperity, when you think about the moves they made this offseason, trading for Deebo Samuel, trading for Laramie Tunsil, I'm a big Jalen Lane guy and think he is going to be a seismic part of this offense. Peter Schrager was on ESPN, I believe it was this morning or over the weekend, talking about, Jalen Lane unprompted. Why does that matter? Well, Cliff Kingsbury and Peter Schrager are like best friends. Maybe that may be a little bit of a stretch, but they are definitely California cool with each other, if you pick up what I'm putting down. And for Peter Schrager to randomly name drop Jalen Lane, a 4th-round pick of the Commanders, lets you know he's probably going to be in for a big-time season. I expect it as well. Anytime you get to add that type of speed to the offense, Cliff will put him in a position to cook. But I say all that to say this is an improved group on offense. I think they're improved on the offensive line. They're improved at the skill position group. The defense is where the issues lie with this bunch. And even they've gotten better, I guess. You can make an argument. Like the cornerback spot. Jonathan Jones bringing in a Super Bowl champion like him, I think is awesome and improves your floor and the depth of that position. Right? Drafting Trey Amos in the 2nd round, a guy that, if Connerly wasn't there at 29 overall, the pick probably would have been Trey Amos. So to be able to land him in the 2nd round, it improves your defense, right? Bringing in Javon Kinlaw. And I understand, statistically, throughout the first couple of years of his career, he has not lived up to his draft status and what the expectations were. There's a picture out there, though, surfacing online. It's him standing next to Dan Quinn, talking about Javon Kinlaw. He's massive. He's massive. He fits the bill in the physical profile of what a Commander's supposed to be. So I hope he helps the run defense. Dietrich Wise, a guy that was brought in from the Patriots, another Super Bowl champion that I think helps this Commanders defense in the biggest, area of weakness, that was stopping the run. So, yes, they have gotten better defensively within the margins. We don't know, though, how that ultimately pans out. We don't know just how improved this defense is. And I'll tell you what, for all of the issues they had last year stopping the run, we're going to find out right away if they're better in that area. Tyrone Tracy, Josh Jacobs, Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton. You got to take on all of those running backs within the first 5 weeks of the regular season. So if you're not better at stopping the run, it is going to bleed right off the rip. It's going to bleed out right off the rip, and it will be known right off the rip. The good thing for the defense, the 2 teams that you're joint practicing against, talking about New England and the Baltimore Ravens, you got to shake a leg or lose one. You're going up and practicing against them. You got to shake a leg or lose one. Go hard or go home. You don't want to get embarrassed on the practice field by Mike Vrabel's Patriots. So I can't wait for that joint practice because they're going to run Travion Henderson right at you, right? The Ravens practice, they're going to run Derrick Henry smack at you. So you'll find out right away whether you're improved in that area, though. The one thing that I say about this football team in terms of next year, I think whether they take a step back from a record standpoint or not is to me irrelevant. I think it's about how they look on the field, how individual players perform. Even if they don't win 12 games next year, I do think there's a way to measure improvement for this group. But I want to go both ends of the spectrum here. Because like I said, the last segment, I can see both scenarios playing out. I can see them making the Super Bowl, hoisting the Lombardi next year. I could also see a scenario in which they miss the playoffs in its entirety. What's more likely to you? 1-800-636-1067. The Commanders making the Super Bowl next year or missing the playoffs? Let's go to Elijah out in D.C. wants to chime in. What's going on, Elijah?
What's going on, man? You kind of you pretty much said what I was going to say so far as with the run defense. We're going to understand early on both sides of the ball what's happening so far as with the run defense and their ability to protect Jaden Daniels. Just New York, the NFL has an interesting way of knowing how to get fireworks. I was looking at this schedule. I was like, okay, they want to see Jaden Daniels move his legs early. We understand what's going on in that front line. We're not saying that the Giants are ready by any means, but we saw the draft that they had, and we know that they did give us some fits, and we only put up some field goals. Now, I will say the team is way further than that point, but it's going to be interesting. If the offense is able to keep the defense in a situation where they're up 14, then I think we have an opportunity to hoist the Lombardi, even 7 or 3. If we can but if we have to make Jaden Daniels put on his cape every week, I think we miss it. And we have to remember, guys, the team has still gotten better. When you go to the NFC championship, that still makes you better as an organization, makes you better as a player. When you know what it takes to actually get there, what it felt like, it doesn't matter how you got there, you did it. And once you understand what it feels like to get there, you know what it takes to replicate that. And I think they did a good job protecting Jaden Daniels, because I feel like because he's such a cerebral kind of guy, he would not hold on to the ball in uncertainty. He's really trying to pick early in games. I'm like, man, he's holding on to the ball just a tad too long because he really wants to see what's going on in the back end. But now when you get from a guy like Jalen Lane, you start to be able to allow him to see what's going on. You can look deep and be like, oh, okay, boom. He's able
and I think, Elijah, I'd pick up exactly what you're putting down. One thing about Jaden Daniels that I think we all like kind of was okay with last year because we were winning games, but like I don't think it's a sustainable recipe moving forward. He can't be your leading rusher next year. He can't. If Jaden Daniels is Washington's leading rusher next year, they're in a world of trouble. One stat from last year that I think kind of slipped past a lot of folks, he led the NFL in scramble attempts by a wide margin. That also is something to me that if they're going to take a step forward, if they're going to punch their ticket to the big dance, gotta let the ball go. Now, I think by season's end, if you watch this group, by season's end, there was not a trust from Jaden Daniels and this Commanders offensive line. And for good reason. They were banged up down the stretch on the interior. Brandon Coleman was hurt on the perimeter. Cornelius Lucas was in and out of the lineup. The offensive line faltered a lot down the stretch. And it feels like every time we talk about that group, it's, or every time we talk about the run game, rather, it's Brian Robinson Jr. not doing enough. I point directly to the offensive line, their lack of health, and then they just didn't play well down the stretch. You take out that Titans game down the stretch, and it was pretty average to below average group, including Tyler Biotish, including Sam Cosmi, who was hurt, but also got his butt kicked a fair amount down the stretch. 1-800-636-1067. What is more likely next year for the Commanders? Making the Super Bowl or missing the playoffs? Let's go out to Shane in Switzerland. Wants to chime in. What's up, Shane?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, look, here's the thing. It's definitely missed the playoffs. You just hit it around the head. Is this a defense Super Bowl team? Is this what playmakers are out there that there's none, zero. Okay, Lattimore last year, in my opinion, was a disappointment. Mike, the Tampa Bay ate him up. Evans, it's just, no, this is not a defensive Super Bowl team right now. It's not. If you look at every team that won the Super Bowl, the last, just 5 years, it's been a dominating defense. Look what the Eagles did last year in the Super Bowl. They dominated the Chiefs. We do not have that right now. Our offensive is great. There's an old saying, right? Offense sells tickets and defense wins championships, right? This is not a defensive team. And this is a fact. And our division got better too. Look what the Eagles did. If you look at the Eagles, I think they stole the draft. They drafted even better than they did last year. And we still got to go through Philly. I hate to say it, we still got to go through Philly. And if you look at that front seven, it is unreal how big and strong. I mean, they're just athletic all over the place.
So for all of the compliments, Shane, I appreciate the call. For all the compliments that anyone has for Philadelphia's front seven or the Giants' front seven, give those same flowers and kudos to this Commanders' offensive line, who by season's end, I think will be viewed as a top 5 to 7 group in all of the National Football League. When you think about the athleticism of that group, when they are healthy, you look at the sum of their parts, and I got another bold proclamation for you as well. Brandon Coleman probably going to start at right guard in place of Sam Cosmi. That's if, Josh Connolly wins that right tackle job. That left guard spot to me is super interesting as well. There is a key free agent signing that Washington had that I feel like no one's paying attention to. Nate Herbig, I think, is a starting guard for the Commanders in week 1. I think Nate Herbig and Brandon Coleman are your starting guards next year for the Commanders, because I think overall throughout his career, he has been a better football player than Nick Allegretti. And I give all the credit in the world to Nick Allegretti coming in, playing the way that he did last year. But you look at his contract, that is a swing guard contract. That is not a contract that screams, I got to be a starter year in and year out, right? Dan Quinn comes from the old Pete Carroll tree. Competition everywhere, all the time. I think competition exists on the interior of this Commanders offensive line as well. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. What is more likely next year? The Washington Commanders making the Super Bowl and following up on their success, or missing the postseason in its entirety? 1-800-636-1067. Let's go to Tony out in Clinton. What's going on, Tony?
Hey, listen, man. I got to pick with you first, man. We still a traumatized fan base. We still got lingering feelings of life. We still think like losers, man. Like you can't sit here and talk about, I don't care about if our record is better than last year. I just want guys to play better. I want our guys to. That's what losers say, man. That's loser talk, dude.
Tony? We'll put Tony back on hold. I guess that was the radio gods trying to correct Tony. That's not what I was saying at all. I'm saying I would understand it, and it would be still viewed as a positive season if they didn't have the same record as last year, right? If they missed the playoffs next year, I think based off of the roster, based off who they have at quarterback, you could consider it a disappointment. I think there's an argument to be made for that. But I look at the personnel that they have defensively. How many blue chip defensive players do they have? They don't have a lot. Joe Witt Jr. is going to have to scheme things up via the pen next year, and I think he's capable of doing it. But it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, right, if they missed the playoffs to me. I'm not expecting it, but I wouldn't be stunned by it either. 1-800-636-1067. Their defensive metrics from a year ago are super interesting. One metric that I want to give you all, because it feels like this defense, and look, I'm being real here. It's not me trying to pick a fight with anybody. It's not me trying to be a lightning rod. It just is what it is when it comes to this Commanders defense next year or last year. We gave them credit for being better than they actually were. That's how I would describe this Commanders defense last year. We gave them credit for being better than they actually were. I got a couple of numbers via my guy Warren Sharp, who always does a tremendous job giving you the analytics and telling it how a TI is when it comes to defense, offense. The Washington Commanders faced these quarterbacks in consecutive weeks from week 12 on to close out the year. Backup Cooper Rush, Will Levis, a bye week, that hand model Jake Haener, terrible Spencer Rattler, backup Kenny Pickett, rookie Michael Penix, and then backup Trey Lance. Last year, the Commanders by far had the number one easiest quarterback schedule in all of the National Football League, yet their defense still was leaky at times. With an improved quarterback schedule, with a more difficult quarterback schedule, I have doubts and reservations about whether the defense can replicate last year's success. If the defense is even average next year, I think it's a success. 1-800-636-1067. I keep giving you the numbers. Mike Clay of ESPN does his annual predictions for the NFL season for all 32 teams. He predicts every statistical leader. He predicts how many games each team is going to win, all of that, snaps played and all. He predicts the Commanders. He projects the Commanders to give up the most points in the NFL next year. I'm telling you now, if the Washington Commanders give up the most points in the NFL next year, they won't make the playoffs. And then next offseason, we'll once again be at the drawing board knowing what needs to improve. And that's not some negative thing. That's not me screaming from the mountaintops that it should be doom and gloom. They're in year 2 of a rebuild, right? Let's keep the real context surrounding this thing. Let's be honest with the context surrounding this thing. They're in year 2 of a rebuild, and they're already way ahead of schedule. They've got their quarterback of the future. In reality, in the NFL, that's all that matters. Now, they'd be further ahead in this rebuild if Ron Rivera and company weren't asleep at the wheel on draft night during his 5-year tenure here. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. Let's go to Aaron in D.C. real quick. What's going on, Aaron?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm awesome. What is going on, man? I've had 30 years of losing. We get one great year and we lost Ashburn syndrome. Come on, man. We're going to dominate. We're going to win the Super Bowl this year, next year, every year. We're going to give up 31 points a game.
That's the spirit.
We're going to give up. I'm serious. We're going to give up 31 points a game because we also don't have a pass rush, and we're going to score 35. We got Debo coming. We got Lane coming. We got our run will be better this year. Even that new dude will be there. And also, everybody's for the trade deadline mid-year. If we are losing, say, or we're middling, we're going to pick up defense on the cheap. They can be plug and play DBs that you pick up in the middle of the year, a la Lattimore. We're going to dominate.
Hopefully
we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Hopefully it works out better than Marshawn Lattimore did last year.